There is a cabin in the woods, long deserted with an ominous story. This abandoned farm, located in rural Germany, is a mystery, with relics from the past just left behind untouched, but all the residents are missing. We are here to find out what happened, although these rooms are infested.
Also hier sollten wir definitiv die Atemmasken anziehen, so wie das hier aussieht.
Hier, das ist nur noch Schimmel.
Apparently, this home has been uninhabited for decades already, but nobody could tell us why. Some say the last resident hung himself in the attic 40 years ago. The most common story, however, is about an old woman found dead after 3 months of decomposing on this carpet. But this all just sounds like urban myths to us, so we are here to investigate what really happened. And following the clues, there is another story unfolding.
Was ziemlich spannend ist, dass es hier Briefe gibt aus den USA.
An obsession with the United States of America, together with many personal belongings just left behind, like photos, but also cars. Yeah, plural, cars. We also discovered obituaries and many by now decayed vintage items. Join us as we are trying to unveil the story of why this farm has been abandoned long ago. Today's episode was filmed just a few weeks ago, so Toby and Marco were exploring this place without me, since I'm still working here in France. That means that I was doing the voiceover again, but without knowing the footage, which was kind of weird. I hope it all works out, and let's see what they both have discovered. This adventure starts on an autumn day somewhere in rural Germany.
Niemand hat gesagt, dass es einfach wird.
Schon weit. Da unten schaut es gut aus. Ein Stück weiter unten. Was da überspringt. Ich habe keinen Bock mehr, jetzt schon nasse Füße zu holen bei der ersten Location.
We are approaching the coordinates of the beaten track. There's a reason for that.
Ja, das ist der richtige Weg. Wir müssen also weiter hier geradeaus laufen.
Okay, einfach weiter querfeldein. Tobi und ich sind heute auf der Suche nach einem alten, verlassenen Bauernhof, der hier irgendwo ist, mitten in der Pampa. Wir wissen noch nicht viel über das Gebäude oder die Geschichte, das versuchen wir jetzt rauszufinden. Was wir aber auf jeden Fall wissen, ist, dass es einen Nachbarn gibt, der dort auf das Haus aufpasst, der mäht den Rasen und so. Und damit wir von dem nicht gesehen werden, laufen wir hier so querfeldein. Da, das sieht aus, als wären wir da, oder? Oder ist das der Nachbar?
Ich check mal, aber ich denke, das müsste die Hütte sein.
Schau mal auf die Karte. Da sieht man schon eingeschlagene Scheiben. Das ist auf jeden Fall verlassen, das Gebäude. Aber nach einem gemähten Rasen sieht das hier nicht aus.
Ja, wahrscheinlich auf der anderen Seite. Classic urbex Zustieg.
Oh shit, Tobi. Oh Mann, Tobi.
Oh damn, das tut richtig weh.
Zweiter Versuch.
We enter the house through the kitchen window. The room seems too small for such a big house, but it gives a great first impression of what's awaiting us. Vintage and outdated furniture. But everything is neglected. Even though the place is deserted for an indefinite period, it seems like it all was just left behind and remained untouched ever since. Nothing is trashed or stolen at first glance. What is the story of this place? Let's search for clues.
Ich meine, solange du jetzt noch richtig laufen kannst.
Ja, easy.
Alter, hat jemand hingekackt? Kann das sein?
Na, das ist der Teppich. Die Bude ist halt richtig hart am Schimmeln. In die Richtung ist der Nachbar, also da müssen wir ein bisschen vorsichtiger sein.
Oh.
Aber Alter, guck dir
Das-
die Viecher an.
Also hier sollten wir definitiv die Atemmasken anziehen, so wie das hier aussieht.
Hier, das ist nur noch Schimmel.
Die Bücher bestehen aus Schimmel. Ja.
These books are lost. Some of them are pure mold by now. This reading is literally hazardous to your health, as well as just breathing the air in these infested rooms. It might be okay if you're just passing through, but we're here to investigate the house, which is not a matter of a few minutes, but rather a couple of hours. Please don't do something like this without any respiratory protection. There is fresh air in the first room. We gear up and start exploring. In this episode, we will look around and share everything we discover, but also what we could research beforehand, which isn't much, to be frank. Maybe you will draw other conclusions than we do, so feel free to share your theory at the end of this video.
Hier ist ein Kalender. 2006.
2006 und was steht da?
2005.
2005. Da haben wir schon mal einen Anhaltspunkt, wann das Haus vielleicht verlassen wurde.
Und natürlich wieder haufenweise Schimmel. Und so eine mumifizierte Spinne.
Oha, die hängt da auch schon eine Weile.
Auf jeden Fall.
Next to the kitchen, there's the living room. It's a moody day and so it's pretty dark inside, which is why we'll show you Toby's photos from time to lighten everything up. This is a half-timbered house, which is quite common in this part of Germany. The furniture looks folksy and was most likely outlasting generations. Today, however, it's rotting away. There's an interesting detail in this room. In German, we call this Hausspruch. It's an inscription you often find inside or outside of such half-timbered buildings. Usually it's some kind of blessing, and it also tells you when the place was constructed. 1786. On our search for a way in, we also found one of these. Let us pause here. Loosely translated, this one says, "O God, protect this house and everyone going in and out. Tuesday, 4th of July, 1786. The inscription inside says something like, "Who trusts in God is on the right path in heaven and on earth. Who relies on Jesus Christ will come into heaven." Or something like that. It's not that easy to make out every word. However, this says more about the people who built the place 250 years ago than about the people who were living here at the end. But we want to know more about them. You don't really see it, but on this door there's an old German word for office. And this truly looks like an old one. A great place to continue our search for clues. There are photos of a young woman here. Maybe a daughter? A decayed work desk with lots of stuff left behind. We really don't want to invade the former residents' privacy more than we already have. So we won't share any private info we find in this house, but only photos.
Also hier wurde schon alles durchwühlt, aber was ziemlich spannend ist, ist, dass es hier Briefe gibt aus den USA, hier mehrere. Wir wissen nicht mehr, was hier drin war, aber diese Briefe kamen aus Hawaii, so wie es aussieht. Und es ist alles Mögliche. Wir haben hier Geburtstagsgrußkarten, hier haben wir Karten, Grüße zu Weihnachten. Was ist das? Hier sind noch Fotos drin.
Wait, isn't this the cupboard from the living room right next door? Looks like it for sure. So these must be the residents, maybe together with some family members or friends. We are now heading to the mold-infested rooms we were peeking into at the beginning. They are located in an annex that was built much later than the original structure. But somehow they messed up. It's only this part of the building complex that is decaying heavily. Like a journey back in time. It's another living area, but without the bulb exposure of the photo camera, it's just dark in here. The windows have become covered in greenery by now and barely let any light in.
Steht hier ein Flügel rechts von dir?
Ja.
Oh, der sieht aber auch schon sehr verschimmelt aus.
Nee,
Das obligatorische Tastentest funktioniert aber nicht mehr. Nee.
da geht gar nichts mehr. Guck mal, was ist denn da?
Das sieht aus wie ein totes Tier. Das ist,
Guck mal die Augen noch.
ja, irgendein Shell.
Oder so? Alter, wieso will man sowas tragen? Das sieht ja richtig creepy aus, oder?
Ja.
Sogar die Ärmchen sind
Ja, das arme Tier. Der Teppich hier, der hat sich auf jeden Fall auch schon komplett zersetzt über die Jahre.
Here's another desk with lots of personal things again. Like obituaries, probably of family members, but also many photos from different periods.
Hier aus dem Jahr 1948. Ein altes Bild. Was ist hier zu sehen? Ist das eine Hochzeit? Was glaubst du, Tobi?
Ja, kann gut sein, aber ist das hier die Braut, die so verschimmelt ist?
Ja, das Bild würde ich lieber nicht mit meinen Händen anfassen ohne Handschuhe.
To be honest, it's weird. If you left a place, would you also leave all these things behind? These are memories. Many of them are lost now, decaying and becoming mildewed more and more.
Sind auch alle noch schön.
Mit bei Schallplatten drin.
Ja. Die sind überall noch drin.
All of this must have been really valuable at some point. Of course, now most of it is rather worthless, since the furniture can't be rescued anymore. But it's impressive that not many looters have found this site so far. Probably because it's hidden somewhere in the woods.
Das ist ein Polaroid.
Jo.
Das ist dieselbe Couch. Und die 3 Bilder.
From the front side, this looks like a mansion, but desolate and overgrown. You can see the half-timbered structure pretty well from here. This part of the building is the barn. Let's take a look inside. They had horse stables and who knows what other animals they kept in here in the past. There's still a lot to discover today.
Alter Pickup. Aber es ist noch nie jemand ins Auto rein, das ist noch gut im Schuss. Das ist noch abgesperrt. Bei dir drüben auch?
Das ist noch zu. Soll ich nochmal rein, bitte?
Guck mal, das ist noch perfekt.
Naja, jede Menge Spinnweben auf jeden Fall.
Wo noch was drin ist? Typische Kofferraumdecke.
It's probably a Volkswagen Tahoe from the early 90s.
Okay, der Rasen da draußen, der schaut schon gepflegt aus.
You might think by now we would have gotten used to the fact that everything was left behind. But no. In this part of the barn, mostly the farming tools and equipment were stored. Like this tractor from the German brand Deutz-Fahr. But the highlight is obviously the Mercedes Unimog, built sometime between the late 80s and early 90s. And it's still in quite good condition. However, with these flat tires, it goes nowhere anymore. Back to the living quarters. There's one more area we haven't explored yet. There's a second floor on top of the moldy annex. And quite frankly, it doesn't really match the interior decoration we've seen so far. Up here, there seems to be a different dwelling unit. Probably for a younger person. And there's something quite obvious. Whoever lived up here had an obsession with the US. We found letters, again, but also maps, documents, and lots of stuff cool kids needed some decades ago. Was there an exchange student from the US living in rural Germany? Or was it the other way around, and the family from here emigrated to the States and abandoned their old home? We'll recap all the clues in just a bit.
Also wir haben jetzt das ganze Gebäude gesehen, unser Rundgang hat bestimmt 3 Stunden gedauert. Jetzt zum Abschluss macht Tobi noch ein paar analoge Fotos. Das sind Fotos, die schicken wir dann unseren größten Supportern. Die bekommen dann sowohl einen Abzug von dem analogen Foto als auch das Negativ, eben als Beweis, dass dieses Foto wirklich nur einmal existiert.
so we can't know for sure what the story of the last occupants is, but we have some ideas. We were searching the big building complex for clues. We spared you some rooms, but featured the most important parts in this video. Although it's a big house, we think at the very end, only one person was living here.
Hier ein altes Blutdruckmessgerät.
Das sind alles Indizien dafür, dass hier wohl eher ältere Leute gelebt haben.
Kaputte Brille.
This death notice we found on a desk shows that a male senior resident who lived here passed away 30 years ago. He left behind his wife, who was now living here all by herself. It was her family that owned this farm for all these centuries. Eventually, she passed away as well, 15 years ago. Remember, 2006, that was the last date on the kitchen's calendar. Whoever was living on the second floor moved out long before that. All the items here are from a different period of time, probably from the 80s. What do you think? Maybe there was indeed a child of the couple living here at one point, but then started a new life in the US. Hawaii, to be exact.
Was ziemlich spannend ist, dass es hier Briefe gibt aus den USA, aus Hawaii, so wie es aussieht.
They were corresponding, a lot. But if it was the only child with a permanent residence in Hawaii, then this would explain why the property is neglected like that. With 12,000 kilometers between the old and the new home, the only heir can come here occasionally to deal with the family legacy. So, by now, all the historical furniture that should be presented in a museum, together with the personal belongings, has fallen victim to mold and decay. It's sad, but if this is true, then the story of 250 years ends here. Just like this. But after all, it's just a theory. Find more of Toby's photos on Instagram. The link is provided in the video description. So this was our first video of 2021, or at least the first official one, because about 1 week ago we released a bonus exploration video to our Patreon. We're gonna show you a little teaser now, and if you like it, we'd be happy if you check out Patreon. We're gonna upload more bonus content like this shorter exploration videos, written adventure stories, Q&As and stuff like that on a regular basis there. A year ago, we were on a trip near our home region in eastern Germany to explore derelict houses. At first glance, it didn't appear super special at all, just one of the many forgotten ballrooms in the region. So to be honest, we were really surprised when we entered this door and found a true time capsule behind it. Vintage remains have been preserved here since the fall of the GDR. It was the clubhouse for different sports groups. Considering the ruinous conditions, it's remarkable that one last sports club was still training here until just a few years ago. They didn't have any heating, toilets or locker rooms, and not even electricity. 2 times a week, the local youth trained, where a legend started his boxing career decades ago. What is your theory? Did we miss any clues? Also, let us know if you think we should explore more of such abandoned residential houses. There's always something interesting to find. In 2 weeks, our Italy series will finally return. See you then, be curious and keep exploring.